You.
Hello. Right, how are we doing? This is the third episode of Black Vault. I am Darth Sebius, as with me always is Brett Lowski over here. How you doing, mate? Excited for some Eldar?
I'm doing well. Getting ready.
Awesome scenes. So yeah, we probably should give you a little warning that there will be some spoilers, so yeah, you have been fair warned, but these books are good enough to, even if it have been spoiled for you, so... Before we go any further, we're looking at the Path of the Eldar series by Gav Thorpe today, so we will jump in with the man himself. Here he is. So, Gav Thorpe, he was born in Hertfordshire. He joined Games Workshop in 1993, and he stayed with the company for 14 years, holding various positions, ultimately being most well known as a games developer, background designer, and author of background fiction. He left Games Workshop in 2008 to concentrate on being a full-time author and has produced many novels and series for the Black Library. He's worked in all aspects of Games Workshop, making his way from assistant games developer and being placed in charge of Warhammer Fantasy game system for a number of years. He's also contributed to developmental designs of several editions of Warhammer 40k, as well as articles for White Dwarf, and most importantly being the originator and lead developer of the Inquisitor role-playing game system. One of his last assistants before leaving Games Workshop was an oversight role for all Games Workshop background and intellectual property, and his influence is rife throughout the company and as well through the Black Library. He currently lives in Nottingham, and he has a mechanical hamster apparently, which is interesting. So that's the man himself, and without further ado, let's get on with the first book of the series, Path of the Warrior. Now, Path of the Warrior, the whole series itself is around a group of friends and how their decisions and life choices kind of affect everyone around them in many ways. So the protagonist of Path of the Warrior is Colandril. He is an artist working on sculptures with ghost stone when some of his friend returns from travels, and he is reacquainted with his unrequited love interest. And then at a big unveiling of his new piece, he has a fallout with the new friend that's comes back and has no release for his for this anger that boils within him, and so he is left with very little choice other than to join the Aspect Warriors. I kind of like the way he actually finds his style, which is the striking scorpions of the Hidden Death. The Hidden Death, because he wanted to hide from his rage, so that's how he becomes part of them. He goes through his training, goes on a quick epic battle against the orcs and takes an injury, has slight post-traumatic stress disorder, and we get a lovely glimpse of the people on the path of the healer and the whole healing process with the Tress of Aisha. Then he gets back ready for battle. And unfortunately, after that second battle, he is just consumed with his anger and emotion, has a bit of an altercation with some people at a funeral where his emotions are not really appropriate for the occasion, and then accidentally lets slip that he wants to go find something to kill, when he only really wanted to say he wanted to kill the time. But that was enough to be the signs of being caught on the Path of the Warrior, and after 2 battles, already an Exarch, which is kind of crazy, but that's what happened. And then as the entire craft world is brought into some kind of doom from outside that is unknown at this point, he leads his former squad mates in the Scribe and Scorpions against a huge force of Imperial and Space Marine troops that have landed on the craft world of Altioch, and then finds himself not only subsumed into an Exarch, but actually taken over by a Phoenix Lord himself, and we don't really know from that point what goes on. So it's a very interesting tale. Oh dear. So there you go, Brett's back. That's better. Better to have Brett's face than rather some writing. But it starts with such beautiful imagery and things about the craft world we see from the eyes of the artist, and it's a wonderful thing. And then it becomes more stark as he becomes the warrior, and just more and more bleak as the fate of the craft world is kind of brought into question. I've got to say this is my favourite of the series. I think we both agreed on this, didn't we, Brett? Is our favourite of the lot. It's everything you could want in to find out about the Eldar. It's just like almost like a walking encyclopedia, which is, but in a way that comes so naturally through the writing. Gav Thorpe has a wonderful penmanship, and for the first 100 pages or so, it's not really a grimdark future. It's kind of a rather bright and wonderful utopia that is the Altioch craft world, and it's a good 100 pages before we even see some proper action, other than a little glimpse of one of the striking scorpions falling right at the beginning of the book to make way for him. But Brett, how did the book made you feel? Because I know that I love it and talk about it
forever. Yeah, Path of the Warrior was my favorite. I mean, for one, the striking scorpion aspect really spoke to me in this book, and I identified a lot with the character of Calandril, because his emotion. Gav Thorpe portrayed his emotions very skillfully. He portrayed his breakdowns very well, and out of all three of the books, I feel Calandril felt the most real to me.
Definitely, he's kind of an everyman in many ways. He kind of the younger, sort of selfish, abrupt kind of being that sort of dwelt in all of us at some point, and probably does still, to be honest. But it's kind of odd because some of the reviews they don't seem to understand this. That people seem to think he is so very alien. Obviously, he is Xenos, being an Eldar, but yeah, he's definitely an interesting character. And the fact that he sees the world through the eyes of the artist, bringing everything in, is a wonderful way to bring the reader into the world of Altioch itself. You you can almost reach out and touch the waystones and the things in the market and his sculptures. They're just, it's kind of a wonderful, wonderful thing. But do you want to take us on with Path of the Seer?
Yeah, in Path of the Seer, we follow another of this group of friends. We follow Theriana. Theriana was for a while a Dire Avenger aspect warrior. We actually, in the beginning of each book, the little quick little skirmish at the beginning of the book, we actually are seeing through her eyes, which didn't become apparent until midway through the story. But Theriana we meet her at the same time as Calandril, when their friend Eradrian is coming back to Elytok after being a steersman for however long, and she is just completing her time as a poet and is beginning to entertain the idea of being a Farseer, or trod in the path of the Seer. And we see from her point of view the awkwardness of their first meeting, or their first reunion with Eradrian, and then we see from her point of view the altercation between Calandril and Eradrian that really sets everything in motion. After the altercation at the unveiling of Calandril's sculpture, she meets with Eradrian, who Eradrian attempts to, feel out if there's any chance of him being with her in a romantic sense, and she tells him that effectively that there is none, and then he pretty much decides in that instant to, go the path of the Outcast, and she, it pushes her further along to try the path of the Seer. And as time goes on, she becomes a Seer. She goes through all kinds of, the usual challenges of being new to the path, and she has to go to her father, who is a bone singer, who she effectively has no relationship with after the death of her mother when she was still a child, and she has to overcome her misgivings with her father, and it eventually leads into her having a vision that a vision of the destruction of a Lytok, and that sets in motion all the rest of the series. It's then, it's this vision that she has that it's a vision of the battle in which Corlangel himself falls and his body is taken over by that of the Phoenix Lord Karandras, and the whole Path of the Seer was a lot of, here's the future, you can do something about it, but the biggest question asked is, do you want to do something about it? Is it a good idea to do something about it? She is confronted by this dichotomy of, we can see the future, but we can't always see the real future sort of dilemma. And from there, the story ends like really smack in the middle of the battle. So you're just left like, okay, what's next? Where's the next book? I gotta have it, Half of a Lytok is occupied by the Imperium, what now?
Yeah, he definitely stabs you with a cliffhanger again for the second one. But it's a cracking book, though, isn't it? Part of the Seer. There's some wonderful moments in it. I particularly like when she gets lost in the Infinity Circuit, and she out into the greater Eternity Matrix. That's kind of a wild little journey she has there. And you mentioned the whole idea of like, can you change the future? Should you change the future? There is also the major kind of punishment if you are kind of caught trying to meddling with fate, trying to make things happen for yourself, which is rather scary a prospect, which is an Eldar lobotomy. Basically, they will remove
pretty much
the parts of your brain that deal with all the psychic and empathic kind of communication and understanding that you have with the whole of the Eldar people. Because that's another thing that comes out wonderfully in these books, wouldn't you say, Brett? The actual culture of the people.
Yeah, Eldar culture is heavily expounded upon in these books, and as a much more advanced race psychically, and a very just psychically aware race, when you walk up to someone and you say hello, and they say hi back, you read a little bit of their body language, but with the Eldar, they read a myriad of subtleties, and then they it's almost like they read a person's psychic aura, and like just naturally perceiving their aura, as opposed to.
So it's a bit like a noosphere for almost like the tech priests have, in a kind of way, yeah. Because I think that's the thing. Like there's that scene from the beginning of each book where it's the three friends reuniting for this first time in a long time. The three major players in this story, and each time that interaction is seen and seemed so different through the eyes of the artist, through the eyes of the poet, and through the eyes of the steersman. So yeah, will take us on to Outcast, and we can talk about the thing as a whole.
Yeah.
So, Path of the Outcast follows Aradrian. We talked about the little skirmish at the beginning where Theriana was present, and where the Striking Scorpion was killed to make way for Calandra to take his place later on. During this time, Aradrian was treading the path of dreaming, which effectively is taking Dreamleaf and getting really rather Eldar stoned, and trying to learn more about yourself by letting yourself be free and have rather crazy hallucinating dreams. This dream kind of takes him from his room all the way to the docks as he sees the Aspect Warriors coming back, burying their dead, and he is just struck with such a morose feeling of being trapped and coddled within the craft world, but just knowing he's going to tread one of the paths until he dies, and become part of the Infinity Circuit, which to many is a kind of a hopeful boon thing, because you'll be reborn one day to help defend the Craftworld as a Wraith Guard or something. But yeah, he sees that as constricting and conflicts him, and he just leaves. He just becomes a steersman and goes to explore some things, and it's upon his return is the beginning of the other two books, as they have their first conversations. And as he gets back to the Craftworld, he is not feeling comfortable with being back in Craftworld life. He finds everything is just alien to him. His father's dead. I believe his mother has run off with an autarch from another craft world, so he's got an interesting family situation. And his friends have moved on to very different paths. He knew Theriana when she was a warrior rather than a poet, and he knew Calandra when he was his dreaming partner rather than an artist and later warrior. And he, as Brett mentioned, he tries to show his affections to Theriana, which are rejected, and so yeah, he slinks off to the Outcast area of town, finds a new buddy of sorts, and follows her off on the path of the Outcast. They go to set off to travel the universe and see what they can see, but don't get very far because an Exardite world is being attacked by orcs, and they have to go get their ranger equipment, let Altioch know, and become part of the first offensive. He is there in that first offensive, again with Calandra taking his wound, and Theriana is having her first experiences of being a warlock, and he's sniping and just finding a rush in killing and in things that is very dangerous for an Eldar in many ways, if they're not on the path of the warrior, having the Warmaster defend themselves. But he wants adventure, so they head to Dark Azir, which is the last kind of homely home for any and all Eldar, a very crazy spaceship come craft world for anyone and everyone to be a part of. There he comes across some Harlequins and takes in one of the most incredible and wonderfully written accounts of a Harlequin performance of the Fall of the Eldar. And with the Harlequins with them, they head off into the Eye of Terror to get some Waystones. They have an adventure, they get some Waystones. Unfortunately, some Corsairs steal some things, so they have to deal with some demonettes, and later a Keeper of Secrets, revealing one of his outcast friends to be the Solitaire of the Harlequins, which is a huge and kind of crazy revelation. And his new friend does battle with the Keeper of Secrets. And I have to say, the description of this pinwheeling crazy Solitaire and just the bull true disgustingness of a Keeper of Secrets is a wonderful little skirmish, and really well written. But high on this new excitement and things, he wants to carry on and start doing some piracy with the Corsairs that he's with, led by an ex-Dark Eldar. His Ranger friends try to dissuade him, but he's not listening. And off he goes, carrying doing some pirates. They meet up with some Dark Eldar and really find themselves in a bit of a situation. He gets some lofty ideas and wants to become some kind of prince pirate. They have some interesting altercations with some humans, resulting in the death of an Imperial commander's son, which inevitably brings doom later to the craft world of Altioch. But on his way, he manages to come across some rogue renegade space marines and have his ship of choice destroyed, which leaves him destitute and depressed, and becomes a massive Dreamleaf crackhead, only waking with the thought of Theriana to bring him back home. But unfortunately, coming home brings the Dark Eldar and the Imperial Guard and the Space Marines all crashing down from the craft world, as we've seen in glimpses in the first two books. And it's kind of only his snivelling and pleading with the Space Marines, and his telling of how the other Imperial commander had been double-crossing the Imperium, that the craft world kind of is left in peace, and he is left on the path of grieving, crying his eyes out for the rest of eternity. With Theriana kind of saying, there, it's not all your fault, I shouldn't have told you to come back.
I should have left you to die.
Yeah, just it's a good book. It's well written. It's Gav Thorpe and it's this series and it's wonderful. But the problem is, Colandro in the first book seems a bit of a knob. He is nothing compared to Eradrian. Eradrian just... he's just morose and grumpy, but then just happy to kill, take slaves, murder when it's not necessary, but still get all hoity-toity about the Dark Eldar. You had a few choice words to say about him, Brett. How did you feel about our outcast friend?
Well, I enjoyed the book. It was a pretty good adventure, but just the decisions Eradrian made were... There's acting impulsively and acting on a whim, but then there's just, complete arbitrary selfishness, which is what he had done, and it was just... I don't know, it just... I was spending much of the book just going, Eradrian, what are you doing? By the end of the book, you're just like, you're not a bad guy at heart, but you're a dick. And a half.
I'm going to almost have to disagree. I think by the end, like murdering relatively innocent people and taking slaves to sell to the Dark Eldar, that's bad.
That's true.
And that
I feel like he most definitely, like, the whole, path the Outcast thing. He really lost his way, and then when he found it again, it was kind of like, welcome back to reality, shithead.
Yep. And, he forever walks the path of grieving, hoping to learn one day how to stop crying. So, he went from being, the kind of morose, the morose metalhead of Altioch to being the full-on emo child of Altioch in many ways. But, I really found how much of the fact that he's that much of a tool, it really detracted from the reading and just how enjoyable it was on the whole. So, what can be said about this series, though? The series is just wonderful and opulent. There's the beautiful artwork by Black Library artist extraordinaire Neil Roberts, depicting Colandro and the Striking Scorpions there, Theriana in the form of the Warlock, and Eradrian in the form of the Ranger before he became a pirate knobhead.
Before he became a pirate knob.
But this has got everything. We've kind of skimmed over things, we've revealed a few things, but just we haven't really scratched the surface. There is just so much succulent just detail, and it's just creamy goodness. it's just crazily. I outside the Horus Heresy, and probably better than a lot of the Horus Heresy books. These are by far the best Warhammer I've read. How does that make you feel?
Yeah, I fully agree. I mean, I've read a solid spread of Warhammer. And honestly, like the two best series I've read so far are the Night Lords by Aaron Dembski Bowden and the Path of the Eldar by Gav Thorpe. And I only hope that the Path of the Dark Eldar is just as good. I think it's Andy Chambers wrote that, but
I believe it is.
Yeah, and the whole series is just everything you could want in an Eldar book. They show you, there's not a lot of time is spent on any one thing, with the exception of you see everything through the eyes of one character per book, but I totally lost my train of thought. But where like you kind of jump around and you see a lot of things. You see the Exodite worlds and the fucking raptors and dragons they ride into battle. Yeah, just everything. You see it. Just everything that you can want in an Eldar book is in it.
Because so you got the paths, you got all the paths, the minor paths, the greater paths, the lesser paths, the warriors, the seers, the autarchs, the exodites there, even some orcs thrown in for fun. You got the Imperial Guard and the Space Marines coming. There's Phantom Titans and Cobra distortion weapons. It's like Striking Scorpions, Dark Avengers, just everything. It's kind of, there's so much more to take from this series than you could take in from every edition of the codex. All the fluff from each codex so far for the Eldar would still not give you as much detail as this. It's just crazy. And it's like, apart from that initial encounter at the beginning of the first book, there's a good 100 or so pages before anything even gets grimdark or battle-y, but that doesn't matter, because just the detail and the interaction and just the Eldar society and the things you learn about the Infinity Matrix and the psychic abilities and how they use everything, it's just, you could just wade through it for days. I'm definitely keeping hold of my copies and going to dip into them every now and then, because it's just beautiful. Which is so good after the Blood Angel saga, to say.
Oh yeah, definitely.
But yeah, I think the main thing of the thing in many ways, as my father would say, is that it's three friends and it's three people who are kind of very self-centered and selfish in their own ways, not always kind of overtly and offensively, but people that are self-serving and finding themselves and going on through their lives. And the Infinity Circuit, in its greater wisdom, and the living craft world itself, finds that, I don't know, it finds a way for the individual that is kind of being so self-centered and making them kind of serve the craft world even more, because Colandril was kind of up his own arse about his painting and everything, didn't have a way to vent, became stuck on the path of Cain, became an Exarch, opened a shrine that wasn't open previously, and then had his body subsumed to keep a Phoenix Lord alive. There's not really any more you could do for a craft world. Again, with Theriana, she's kind of guiding, although kind of half guiding Altiok to its doom, but at the same time trying to do a 3-point turn and keep it going the right way. It's just Aradrian, who is just kind of a bell end through and through. It doesn't really serve anyone but himself. Like, he helps out the Exodites, but that's only because he's told to, and they give him the Ranger stuff. As a series, Brett, is there anything else you want to add? Because I don't know, I feel we could go on forever, but it's finding these things to say.
Honestly, I think we've pretty much hit on everything, really.
That was certainly Iradian's tactic, anyway. But there we go.
Hit on everything in the hope of getting some.
Eldar puns come free. But yeah, while we're on the subject of Path of the Eldar, I was sort of looking on DeviantArt. I found a few bits of fan art and things that were appropriate for the series, so I thought I'd show those. Here is a picture of Theriana by Fullstrider on DeviantArt, looking particularly badass. Maybe looking a little even more mean than I would imagine her looking, but looking serious. How does that ring true with your image of Theriana in your head, Brett?
Honestly, it's a great image, but it doesn't really sit with what I envisioned of Theriana. Like, I pretty much envisioned the cover of Path of the Seer. So
yeah, I'm gonna have to agree with you. It's a beautiful image, but yeah, it's not necessarily how Theriana is in my head. I do see her, yeah, as you said, as the Seer there. Although she looks too big there for me. She just whether it's Colandril or Aradrian lusting after her, one of them kind of describes her as being so elfin and slight. She just looks rather beefy in the armor there. But that's probably the armor would do that for you.
Yeah, it's definitely the armor.
But yeah, the artwork by Neil Roberts is beautiful. The Striking Scorpion, that's the I think the greatest picture of a Striking Scorpion I've seen, and we've looked for quite a few for Fluff Talk.
Yep.
And just the colours of the Seer are wonderful, and the Outcast just. If it wasn't,
I mean, the Outcast getup, the actual Outcast outfit, I think is pretty cool. But it's so stained by how much of a twat Eredrian became.
That's exactly what I was going to say. Yeah, I like to imagine that's one of the other Rangers. And you can always, I love how leathery it is, and how you can just imagine how that's all reflective as well for the hollow stuff.
Mm-hmm.
What we're talking about? There was also a Seer of Altioch cosplay. So this would be how I would imagine Theriana as she is when she becomes a Farseer, and that is by Sabrina of Rieta. But I think that's an amazing cosplay, and the idea of going to an aquarium, which is a word I seem to have forgotten yesterday, rather interestingly. but for the kind of the idea of the psychic powers there, that's just a wonderful image. And I never even knew you could get cosplay and things on DeviantArt. But there's even models and stuff on there, which is nice and fun.
Mm-hmm.
So we're kind of rambling a bit now, so we should probably right, Brett, what would be your out of 5 for Path of the Warrior?
Path of the Warrior, a definite at the least 4.5 out of 5.
So you 4.5. I'm just gonna have to give it 5. I kind of want to give it 6, but so that's a solid 4.5 and 5 for us for the Warrior. So I don't think we need to ask. That's going in the vault.
Yes, it is.
Right. So Path of the Seer, got to be a solid 4.5 for me. Yourself, Brady boy?
A solid 4.55 for Seer.
Good time. So 4.55. Seer's going in, yeah?
Mm-hmm, definitely.
Good times. Outcast.
Honestly, I'm going to give Outcast a 4.55 too, and I'm going to say it goes into, because I as much as I, was chastising Eredrian throughout the entire book, I did thoroughly enjoy him hanging out with the Camarans and all the, piracy and ass-kicking going on and all that shit. I honestly thoroughly enjoyed it.
Yeah, no, that's fine. I did enjoy it. It would the knobbishness of Eredrian does kind of take from it. I'm going to give it a 4. So Outcast, you're giving it 4.55. I'm giving it 4. It's going in. The whole series is in. I sod it. Let's just throw Gav Thorpe in there as well. We'll lock him in with some writing implements.
I think after I chose the Blood Angels, and that proved to be such a disaster, and then I feel I've made up by suggesting Path of the Eldar.
Oh, I would say you have definitely made up for yourself. Not quite made up for James Swallow just yet, but Gav Thorpe is doing a wonderful job of that. So here is the vault as it stands. So far, James Swallow, despite everything we have to say about him, Red Fury made it in because somehow that was a really great story amongst the others. And there they are. Path of the Warrior, Path of the Seer, and Path of the Outcast. I would love someone to draw a picture of me holding Gav Thorpe's head and trying to shove him into the vault. Ian, if you want to draw a picture, that would be amazing. So yeah, the vault is getting. We've got some stuff in the vault now, which is nice. 3 episodes in, 4 books in. That's not bad.
Mm-hmm.
And we've had some fun with some books, which is also not bad. And we've got some people in chat room with us, which has also been awesome. So that's kind of great. And next month so we were a week later this time because of time constraints and things. So it's either going to be in 3 weeks' time or 4 weeks' time, and we're going to be looking at the Imperial Guard. We're going through the first omnibus, so looking particularly at Deathworld and 15 Hours, maybe taking a look at Rebel Winter and some of the other short stories in there, but we should see how that goes. But definitely Deathworld and 15 Hours, and we were talking about Waiting Death as an audio drama. Were we, Brett? Yep. So yeah, Imperial Guard fun next time, and then it's on to the Night Lords after that. And I know people have mentioned Dan Abner earlier, and I know people want some Gaunt's Ghosts, and I'm sure when we come back to the Guard at some point, we will definitely do a bit of Gaunt's Ghosts at some point, because we fucking need to at some point.
Just with Gaunt's Ghosts, it's one of those deals we got to handle gingerly, kind of like the Space Marine battles and the Horus Heresy. Because it's such a long series, we have to decide: do we want to like break it up or do it all at once, or it's just a logistical pain in the nads to figure out how we want to do it.
I would imagine if we could start with the first omnibook and see how we go on there, and kind of do it in stages. Is it the Founding? I think it might be.
Yeah, the first one is the Founding. Yep. I have all their omnibooks, so I'm golden.
Awesome. So I think I've got a few of them, so that'd be good. But yeah, but like it's once a month, and we're going to be doing this for the foreseeable future. So we are going to get to things. It's just as ideas come up and as we were reading things, we go through one to the other. So because we want to get into a bit more Abnett with Ravna. Want some Ravna in there. We'll have to touch on Cypher's Kane at some point as well. And as we're going through the traitor and the loyal legions and some other things. So yeah, that's another Black Vault for a month, and I look forward to seeing you next month. Now on to the good old announcements. We've got a new show coming up. It's going to be sort of a sibling show to the Fluff Talk shows, which are primarily the Warhammer 40k Fluff and Lore Talks. The new show is going to be called Lore Keepers, and Brett and I are looking for people to come up with ideas and also wanting to contribute and come along and talk about the lore and fluff of all sorts of other games. So anything tabletop, war games, role-playing games like Dungeons & Dragons, Magic the Gathering, Deadlands, Savage Lands, all that stuff. If you want to get involved or want to help out in any way or want to hear about some stuff particularly, get hold of us on the Dice Troop site. Brett, would you like to do the donate speech of justice?
Yes, we at Dice Troop, we do all this stuff on our own. We have a donate page. All this stuff is, non-profit. We're doing this because we love it. But if anyone wants to, donate us, $2, $3, $6,000, whatever you want to give, it helps a lot because some of us pay for the Skype Pro and all this other live casting gear. And so any help, people can provide, help us along to bring all this content. And also, speaking on content, we do not own any of this. Any of the stuff we talk about, from the Hammer to Battle Bros to
Black Vault,
Fluff Talk and Black Vault and Lore Keepers and all the other shows, we don't own any of it. All of it is the property of Games Workshop, Black Library, or their respective owners for the other games. Which is all for the purpose of
criticism and review
and criticism. Yep.
And we've been nice. We've been nice about your book, so please don't be angry with us.
Yeah.
James Swallow might be angry, but apart from that,
yeah, James Swallow might be a little less inclined to, but.
Yeah, and thank you to those people that have already donated. You're awesome. And also don't feel any obligation. If you are able, that's great. But we're doing all these for free.
Yeah, if you can donate, please do. But if you can't, keep watching.
Yeah,
that's really what we need. The number one thing we need is people to watch.
Because we're all just doing this for the love of doing it. We all love the Warhammer and all the other geeky games and stuff, and just trying to give some information to you and let you know what's going on. So let us know about Lore Keepers and the Dice Troop Tumblr page, and get in touch with us. And we shall see you in a couple of weeks for Fluff Talk, which looks going to be Thousand Suns, which will be rather interesting. And so look forward to somewhere in June we'll be starting Lore Keepers. So it's goodbye from me and goodbye from him, and thank you for joining us for another Black Vault. Tatty bye, people.